I'm Jilly G. Welcome to my kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make my gluten-free no-bake cookies. And I'll be showing you two different versions of this cookie today. Usually I save this type of cookie for the summertime when it's really hot and I don't want to turn on my oven. But unfortunately, my oven is not working anymore. And I've been nursing it along for about the last month or so, and it's finally giving up. So at least the stovetop is still working, and I do have an oven on order that is supposed to be delivered very soon. Lucky for me, when the oven first started acting up, I was able to get an oven, and then it's been about a month waiting for it to be delivered, and it's been rescheduled for delivery twice. That is the world today, so I'm grateful that at least the stovetop part still works. So I thought this would be the perfect recipe to show you because I can't bake these cookies in the oven. So no-bake cookies have been around for a really long time. I'm showing you kind of the classic version. The first version I'll be showing you is all of the classic ingredients except for oats. It usually calls for 3 cups of rolled oats, and you can get gluten-free oats, and I really enjoy gluten-free oats. But I wanted to show you today that it can also be made with your favorite gluten-free cereal. And this cereal is a combination of flakes and little Rice Krispies and little puff balls. So even if you can't have oats, you could still find your favorite gluten-free cereal to put in this recipe. Most no-bake cookies call for peanut butter. I'm using peanut butter today in both of my recipes, but you can easily substitute it with a sunflower nut butter, almond butter, or find a different replacement. And my second version will also be dairy-free. And these are so fast and easy to throw together. I've got 2 cookie sheets lined with parchment, and then I've got these ingredients over here because these don't go in the saucepan to cook them. So in this saucepan over here, I've got a 1/2 cup of butter, which is 1 stick. I'm going to turn this on about medium-high and get my butter melting. I've got 3/4 cup of honey. This is normally 2 cups of sugar. And you don't need a saucepan this big to cook this mixture. I prefer to use a much larger saucepan, and then I can stir all of my ingredients in the saucepan, and then I don't have to dirty an extra bowl. So in with my honey and my butter is a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I've got a 1/2 cup of milk. And then I've got 3 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Not only is this recipe super easy to make and super fast, and not very many ingredients at all. Cut my butter into smaller pieces so it will melt faster. And if you see any lumps of cocoa, I'm just mashing them against the side of the pan. Now that my mixture is up to a boil, I'm going to time for 3 minutes. Once it starts boiling, I do stir it constantly. And you can turn the heat down if you feel like you need to. And 3 minutes goes by really fast. So I take it off of the heat and we're going to stir in a 1/2 cup of peanut butter. And 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Now normally with a recipe like this, I would add in some chopped nuts. But because my oven isn't working, I didn't toast any nuts. And there are ways that you can toast nuts in a frying pan, but I thought I would just leave out the nuts today. Once you've got your peanut butter all mixed in, we're going to add in our 3 cups of dried cereal. If you've ever made this kind of cookie before, you'll know that the oats thicken up this batter and help it stick together. Because we're using dried cereal today, we do need to keep stirring it until it cools slightly and hardens up just enough that we can drop onto our cookie sheet. And if you feel like your mixture is way too soft, there are 2 ways that you can save this. Add in some more cereal. I'd say that was maybe another cup. And you know, it looks like that extra cup of cereal is holding my mixture together nicely. And if you were to mix this in another bowl, it would set up a little bit quicker, but because my pan is still hot, it's taking a little bit longer. So the other way you can save your mixture if it's a little bit too liquidy is just pour it into a 9x13 pan, lined with parchment paper or greased with butter or something like that. And then you can just spread this mixture in your pan and then put it in the fridge when it's cooled off, and then cut it into little bars or little squares or whatever. And also keep in mind, if you use a really sweet cereal, like a sugar-coated cereal, your cookies will be a lot sweeter. And then just drop your cookies onto your parchment-lined cookie sheet. Try to make them all the same size, but it looks like mine are getting progressively bigger. Just making sure they're all kind of the same size. Maybe I'll make some really tiny cookies. As you can see, you can make them as big or as small as you want them to be. So there we go. I'm going to put these 2 cookie sheets in the fridge to start cooling. I'm going to wash everything up and use my same pot for my next batch. So I got 2 more cookie sheets lined with parchment paper. This recipe, I will be able to use my cookie scoop. The other recipe, it's a little bit chunky to use a cookie scoop. So I've got 2 1/4 cups of really finely shredded coconut, unsweetened. You could toast this coconut if you want to, but I like it just like this. And then I've got a 1/3 cup of peanut butter, it's kind of heaping, and then a tablespoon of vanilla. And then over here, in the same saucepan, I'm going to go on about medium-high heat again. I've got a 1/3 cup of coconut oil. And it's easier to weigh coconut oil, at least I think so, unless it's soft enough to actually measure in a measuring cup. So this is 72 grams of coconut oil. And then I've got a 1/3 cup of honey. You could use coconut sugar, you could use date sugar, or whatever sugar replacement that you would like. And then I'm going to go less than a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. So maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. And as you can see, this is a little bit smaller of a batch than the last one. And this is a really big pan, but I didn't want to have to wash another pan, even though I washed this one already. You could add cocoa to this if you want to, but I like it to be just the coconut flavor. And this recipe goes even faster than the first one. All we have to do is bring this to a boil. So once that is up to a boil, honey always kind of foams up a little bit. Remove it from the heat. In goes our 1/3 cup of peanut butter. I'm also going to pour in my 1 tablespoon of vanilla. I really like this no-bake cookie with almond butter. And I really like this no-bake cookie with almonds in it. Coconut and almonds go so great together. But again, I didn't toast any nuts and I don't have any almond butter. Once your peanut butter is all melted and everything is mixed together, pour in your 2 1/4 cups of coconut and just get in there and make sure that everything is mixed together. And it might seem like it's too dry, but don't worry, just keep mixing. And if you've ever worked with coconut oil before, you know that when it hardens up and solidifies, it really is a nice texture and it does harden up. So it might look a little bit too crumbly right now, but when it firms up in the fridge, it will be just what we want. And the same thing with this recipe. You could put it into a greased casserole dish or a parchment-lined casserole dish and then cut it into bars when it's cooled off. And I like to flatten them out just a little bit. And these are almost like a coconut macaroon, but not exactly. Now for this recipe, you could also add in some oats or some cereal, or you could add in some coconut to the other recipe. I encourage you to experiment. Use your favorite ingredients. Use the ingredients that you like or that you can have. Okay, now if I had used my smaller cookie scoop, I would have, of course, smaller cookies, and then I would have filled up both of my cookie sheets. But I really like this size. So now, same thing, these will go in the fridge until they're firm. My no-bake cookies have been in the fridge for about 45 minutes. And they just peel right off of the paper. And if you were worried that these ones wouldn't set up, they really do. Once coconut oil is cold or solidifies, it really holds everything together. I'm going to try one of my little ones here. These are so good. I actually like these a little bit better than the traditional no-bake cookies with rolled oats, just because they're crunchy. But the rolled oats version is really good too, but I like crunchy. Let's try one of my coconut ones. So good. Both are delicious no-bake cookies. Super fast and easy to throw together. Doesn't take hardly any chill time at all to get them to firm up. And you have two different versions. One is a dairy-free. Now this one over here, you could increase the amount of coconut oil and add oats into this one as well, which I've done before and it turns out delicious. And even if you don't like coconut in there, you can still use coconut oil to make your version of this cookie. Of course, if you like coconut. And you know, you can add in whatever you want. And it's so easily fixed, even if you mess up a little bit on your ratios, just like you saw with this one, where I did add in a little bit more cereal. And that just depends. It's kind of something you have to eyeball. When a recipe is made for oats, then that's kind of what it works with. But it doesn't mean that you can't make it with other cereal. You just might need to add a little bit more cereal to get the right consistency. But perfect no-bake cookies. These are really great in the summertime if you don't want to turn the oven on. It's really great when your oven stops working. And then you can still have a little treat. Let me know if you make either of these recipes, and let me know if you make the traditional version with oats or what kind of cereal that you like to use. You could add chocolate into this one. And for that matter, if you really wanted to get fancy, you could take these coconut cookies and dip them in chocolate. Possibilities are endless with a no-bake cookie. And don't be afraid to experiment. Change up the flavors, change up the cereal, make them your own, and use whatever you like or whatever you can have. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I'll see you on the next one.